Good morning. How are you today? I almost feel like I could walk around in shirt sleeves. Where we have a blistering 40-something degrees this morning, so that's nice. And as you can see, the sun is out, and so it's very pleasant. The roads only have smaller patches that you have to be careful of. So, how does the nation go? I think we're in a good place. I think we've come to the end of the Republican crime spree. I say this not just because we're arresting and enforcing the law against so many people, some in conspiracy, some for, trespassing, destroying government property, things like that. But last night, the Democrats finally flexed their muscles a little bit and said, that's it. It will not stand. We will not put up with Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, with such hate and bile and discriminatory language and abuse of younger people. And they didn't talk enough for my interest about how, even after she was elected, she was campaigning with Trump and saying he'd won, and even wore a mask saying he'd won on the floor of the House. So, in my opinion, she gave aid and comfort to the rioters, to the insurrection, and she should be ejected. But in congressional terms, this was a big deal, and we couldn't have gotten enough Republicans, I suppose. But we did pick up 11. That says something for them. You got to wonder why we lost, Cheney, Congresswoman Cheney, when she was one of the, 10 who voted for impeachment. And I guess it's intimidation. I haven't had much use for her in terms of her ideology, but I was encouraged that she came forward as she did. And I guess now they're stepping on her. So, and maybe that was the deal. You get down on the floor and you say something about Greene, who gave us a non-apology for what she did, and never addressed the fact that she talked about, well, why not shoot our speaker? Why not go after Obama? It's intolerable how anybody could defend it. And they try to defend it as a process argument. Well, I'm sorry, not all speech is protected, and we've talked about that before. So this is the spree of crime by the Republicans that now we're pushing back. And, you can't ignore the fact that the House also caused the impeachment to occur, and we're going to have a trial on it. That's another assertion against the lawlessness, against the autocratic movement within the Republican caucus. And the Democrats are going to have a commission on the insurrection. So all of these things are encouraging. And I know some have said that they find it interesting that I find these positive things. Well, because of law and politics, maybe that's how I look. I look for the beachhead from which you can strike forward in a case, in a political movement, a cause, a personal relationship, anything. What can we build upon? And how can we do it together or alone so that we make a difference for the better? And so I am encouraged on that level. And by 5:30 a.m. this morning, Biden's 1.9 trillion rescue package, if you will, the pandemic package, got its first set of votes and amendments over on the Senate side. And so that's launched. And by sometime short of St. Patrick's Day, with a lot of Sturm und Drang and arm wrestling, that will come out of the Congress as well. Think how important it was that you gave money, spent time, talked to people, and that others did so that we could win Georgia. Georgia was consider Greene, whom we kicked off those committees, she's from Georgia. This is an amazing thing. This is historically dramatic and effective and critical. So what else do we have? We have a bunch of good things going. I think a lot of the movement comes from we the people. Everything we may have done about the election, small contributions we made, things we sent to neighbors. But then there are other people, in the media who believe the truth matters and that that's what the First Amendment is about. It's not an opportunity for disinformation. And it's certainly not an opportunity to encourage people to hurt each other, to kill them, to throw out a democratic form of government. So we have corporations now turning their aim at Rudy Giuliani and what's her name? A whole bunch of these people that went on the air and said, "Oh, those machines, they were cheating and they were stealing the election." Well, they got billion-dollar charges on their lawsuits, and that ought to tie them up for a while. I don't think Rudy has a couple of $1 billion in his pocket, nor does his buddy Trump. We don't know what he has. Someday we'll find out, and then we can all giggle about it. And even WABC, where Rudy appears on the air, is censoring him in a way. Yes, they give a disclaimer, but the disclaimer is universal to everything that he says. And you may have seen the tape of how he dealt with it the first time. They say that about me? How could they say that about me? Is that right? Is this the new free speech? No, that is free speech, fella. And free speech doesn't give you a license to lie to the nation about our form of government. So much for him. The good news continues in this sense. One of my colleagues noticed correctly, there are a lot of judges who didn't leave the bench while Trump was the president because they didn't want there to be an opening he could fill. Moscow Mitch made it his devotion to do that. So there are these judges who may now retire, who are thinking of it, and probably will. And there are also those judges who could have gone senior, meaning they continue to practice, but they create a vacancy that could be filled. And these vacancies are in the trial court and the Court of Appeals. The Supreme Court, that's another question. We have to wait and see what happens there, because I don't expect retirements. It's possible. And my Irish superstition doesn't want me talking about the possibilities that would generate openings on the Supreme Court. So it's a marvelous day out here. It'll probably be a longer walk because it's so pleasant. And I don't know if I'll go into the hills because I think probably the snow is pretty slippery. So be well, and I wave to you from from my path in Northern Virginia, this side of the Potomac River, opposite the Harpers Ferry on the other side. And I'm thinking of Thomas Jefferson, who said, and I disbelieved him when I first read it, that ultimately the voters get it right. Well, we did. And now we're going to use the fact that we have some authority and power and make a difference for the better. All the best. Bye-bye.